What is up, guys? It is the man in the can. It is Super Piggy Man here today with another video. And today we're going to be talking about some more Kenshi lore and the story of Mourn, the town inside a spaceship. So now, this whole entire story goes long ways. It's a pretty interesting story. So if you go to, I believe it's right outside the burning forest. I forgot what the name was. I think it's called Bone Fields. There is some interaction with your characters talking about goals being there and all that, but if you really look around when you're running around the Bonelands to the city, actually, you see a bunch of ruined artifacts around, and it's pretty interesting because you look at all these artifacts that are all laying around, and you're just like wondering, like, oh, I wonder what happened here, right? Well, apparently there was this like spaceships. I don't really know what the word is for it, but like spaceships that were coming to Kanchi, and they probably crash landed. Now, onto further further inspecting this, you go into the city, and you see that the city actually isn't abandoned. It looks really ruined, but it's not abandoned, you know. So you go in and you see that there's that the city's actually run by the tech hunters. So before the tech hunters actually took over the city, there's a little backtrack to this that slavers actually did own the city, and I don't know what caused them to run out, but looking at all the ruins, you can probably guess that it was something unfriendly, and there are a lot of big things around the area, so the slavers probably didn't want to risk anything. You know, they aren't the greatest fighters, and big things, if you're not the greatest fighters, take a couple of fighters to take them out, just one at least. So the slave traders probably just gave the land to the tech hunters and said, hey, there's a bunch of tech here, and then, probably just sold it to them for a certain amount of price or something, or like for a waiver in their lands to enslave people. I don't know how the whole entire deal worked out, but the slave traders really just got up and left because they didn't want to deal with the BS of their slaves being eaten and then them being at risk of being eaten. But when you go and see the tech hunters, they aren't well fed. They seem to be really down on supplies here, and everything is still ruined, and you're just wondering, like, why haven't they fixed anything? There's like no bar, there's nothing here. I mean, you can buy the houses here and rebuild them and stuff, but there's nothing, like literally nothing there. And so when you go to the big building in the middle, you notice that the door's locked, right? So you unlock that door, you go in, and you see that there is a great white gorilla, and these things are really rare. And so when you think about it, it was probably this great white gorilla that they locked in there because, you see that everything got destroyed in there. So you could expect that there's probably slaves in there or something that they locked in, and then they just left, and they didn't tell the tech hunters, like, hey, we're going to give you this land, but don't go into that building. There's something in there, and I'm pretty sure you guys won't be able to handle it. And I think they're right, because it's actually quite an effort to take it out, if you can see the gameplay and stuff. But it was pretty weird, that not even the tech hunters went into that building. But let's talk more about all the bones and stuff around the entire area. I will get to the spaceship part later. The whole entire thing about the bones and everything being around here is kind of weird, You look around and there's all these big bones, and you're like, what could, like, actually be this big and have, like, these big-ass bones and stuff, And my initial thought was, it's probably like Cage Beast or something, but then I thought about it, and there was a great white gorilla in there. What if the great white gorilla was the only animal that, survived the crash? And I know that's going on a limb, but you can tell that the freaking aircraft didn't make it. It crashed onto Kenshi. And this could probably be where the first empire started and stuff, where the original people that came and colonized Kenshi, the planet of Kenshi. I don't know what the planet's actually called. I'll just call it planet of Kenshi. Actually came and colonized Kenshi. So that could be really plausible. And the great white gorilla just got out of its cage and it just ran away. And there are other great white gorillas, I think, around somewhere on the map. And I don't know if they're in the bone fields or stuff, because this is actually the first great white gorilla I've seen, but they're super, super rare. So, kind of adds up to that, and I'm pretty sure all of them are elders, because that that one was an elder. Fuck, my voice. But that one was an elder that you fought, so you can only imagine, like, hey, where where are these like great white gorillas and stuff? If they're all elders, and this can prove the theory that there was these animals that came, and they were a lot bigger animals, and they probably didn't make the crash, and they died within like minutes of after the crash and stuff. Say if they did survive the crash, well, they probably bled out and stuff like that, and they're huge animals. I mean, you just look at the bone fields and you're just wondering like what animals cause this. Now, when you look at the whole entire retrospect of things, you think about it and you're like, it isn't that far off, because I mean, where are they escaping from? Now, let's get onto the spaceship part, right? Why the spaceship even came. If you look up in the sky, sometimes you could see this, Earth-like planet not that far away. Like, I'm talking like super close. I mean, like, the moon looks close, but it looks like it's closer than the moon. I mean, it's like walking distance away, is what I'm trying to say. And then you also see a moon up there. So I'm probably thinking that the spaceship came from this planet, and you don't see any land on the planet, so that's a huge red flag there. All you see are the oceans, and you see cloud movements and stuff like that. And I'll put up a screenshot of like it, so you guys can see. But what if these people came from there, and they, like, I don't know what would cause them to come from there. Maybe the water got super like toxic and it poisoned everything, and now they had to move planets, and Kenshi looked pretty habitable at the time, because this is after everything happens, right? Kenshi doesn't look that habitable anymore, but there's still water that's perfectly functioning. There's still societies, and their bodies have probably adapted after all these thousands of years, right? But maybe that's what happened. Maybe the water got a lot of, like, I don't know, sulfur acid into the water, and they had to move, and they took all the life forms they could, and they came over here and they crash landed. So that is a really interesting town. I mean, the town doesn't really have that much to back it up. I mean, I looked everywhere after I killed the great white gorilla for information, but I mean, I couldn't really find anything. But I mean, it's always fun to theorize. I mean, I personally believe that this is where the original people from the first empire came, and they settled down. But hopefully you guys did enjoy. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and peace.